we get the full wall of purple faces will go. There you go. Almost there, almost there. Uh, Almost there. Yeah. Okay, I don't know if I can do that. Sorry. I'm sorry. I probably should have toned that down. Okay. We're getting there. We're getting there, though. Okay, I think that's good. Now that I'm good and embarrassed and my face is super red, I think that's a good time to go. I think that's a good time to go on. Okay. Yay! Big face. Okay. And hello, everybody. Uh, Good to have you here. This is Monday Monad, but this is our Friday night live stream in which we have a more relaxed chat about things that are going on in the world. And man, there is some stuff going on in the world right now. And I actually just discovered this a couple of days ago. And that is this case of this Finnish lawmaker who is on the face of or on the verge of facing prison time for simply sharing a Bible quote over social media, over Instagram. And this Instagram Bible verse pertained to specifically the topic of homosexuality. Of course, that is a major no-no in mainstream Christianity, in which this Finnish lawmaker is very much invested in, is mainstream Christianity. And when I say mainstream, I mean it's people at the forefront with these big ideas based on Christianity that is the best known at the moment, the most well known. But there is so much to talk about, and I decided to start a Loppy Load early today just to see how it would go, and I think overall that kind of works better. Oh yeah. Overall, this kind of works better. And I apologize for the sniffling and the snorting because it is allergy season and I really struggle with allergies. And yes, I have taken the pill and I have snorted the 2 different kinds of nasal sprays and I have taken like eye drops and I am fully loaded. Even my lungs, the asthma spray, it's so bad. I don't mean to bore you with my avatar problems, but I truly struggle with the seasonal allergies. The trees put out their dust and their dusty tree sperm, and the flowers are like, yay, poof. And it destroys my avatar. My avatar is like, no. So I don't know if anybody else struggles with seasonal allergies in the springtime. If you do, my heart goes out to you. I'm so sorry. Please take care of your avatar. Allergies do lower the immune system, and we still have the panini going on with the Cororo going on. And I want you to be safe and healthy, so take care of yourselves. Take your allergy medication. Keep up a good regime. Regime. It is a regimen for the allergies because it's best. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not your doctor, but what I've learned with allergies, over the counter allergies, it's best to stay on like a regular schedule of taking it and not let the allergies have any opportunity to overcome your lungs and your nasal cavity and all that business. I'm on tea now. Tea. Good, good. Well, anyways, hello again, Christina. Christina Waken, thank you so much for coming and listening. And I know Rowan is in here. Rowan, thank you so much. These are the moderators who are just hanging out with us tonight. I would say that they are here to take out the trash, but we actually already had a troll incident and it's done and over with, and good riddance, and they're gone. So thanks to that, thanks to moderator Rowan for helping me take out the trash, and Christina Larson for being here to listen in. And I wish you both the best. Kiss, kiss, hugs, hugs. And hello, Roberta. Good to see you. Hello, Melinda Mayhem. Good to see you. I see Katrina. Good to see you. Hello, hello. I know, let's see. Don't make me scroll. Say hello again. Don't be shy now. Say hello several times. Say hello several times now. Don't be shy. There's room to make a little noise here in our chat room. And Cassie, hello! I get to see Cassie soon, and I'm so excited. And I get to spend time with Cassie. And you don't, ha ha ha! Cassie is exclusive. Cassie's like fine wine. Very special mind. Hello, R1. R1 was like the first one here. How's it going? Then Winter, meow. Then Winter's being saucy. Meow. Meow. I wish I could have a cat. I can't have pets. Then, I hope you are enjoying the lumps. So, interesting topic tonight. I actually was pretty surprised. And, if I could just start again. Hello, my name is Jan Erickson. This is Monday Monad. And, although this is Monday Monad, this is Friday night. This is our Friday night chat. And we are going to talk about the Finnish lawmaker who decided to make a post on social media, just simply quoting the Bible, but it got interpreted as hate speech, and now they could face like up to 2 years in prison, which is a pretty big deal. And that kind of makes me think about the Hyperion New World and the future of religious speech within the Hyperion New World, because ultimately, and let us, okay, good, let us turn on the music. There we go. And actually, we could just end the music. I think that's good altogether. That's good. I'm still practicing good streaming, so we will get our own flow of things. So please bear with me. Um, Good angles, good lighting. Okay. Sorry, I'm taking a minute to read the comments. And please like the live stream if you haven't. This is a tough topic. The reason this is a tough topic is because when it boils down to a sentence or a decision that somebody should go spend time in prison for religious speech, I personally, as a Hyperion, even though I have religious trauma syndrome and everything and a vehement hatred for religious speech, even I at that point would have to sit down and consider very carefully, is what is being said actually causing enough harm that would justify putting somebody to prison for 2 years? That's a long time. Um, I mean, in terms of like prison sentences, that's actually nothing, but any time in prison, I would like to consider very carefully, why are we putting that person there? So when I just heard like the title, like Finnish lawmaker is facing possible prison time for religious speech, and here's the deal. And on the flip side, on behalf of this lawmaker, she is saying that, she is well justified for her freedom of speech, and to be put to prison for 2 years is to sort of be an attack on religious freedom and religious speech. And so there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot going this way and that way and over our heads, and I'm just like ducking under like this little bunker of Hyperianism for a minute, the more like cautious defensive part of Hyperianism, where I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna hide under here for a minute and just survey the area. And what I'm talking about is, in terms of the war of the mind, right? Because we are in a mind war, a war of ideas, a war of religious ideas, mental ideas, however you want to call it, rational ideas, just ideas. So right now, there's a lot of ideas going about right now, and it's really important because somebody is going to have potentially 2 years of their freedom taken away. So that's nothing to jest about. And sometimes as a Hyperion, especially as somebody who's been hurt by religion, there's definitely a part of me and a part of my shadow, and that the contents within my shadow, if shadow was an umbrella term for what's going on within me, on I guess the darker side. I'm not entirely comfortable with using the darker side per se because it's not necessarily dark, but I guess to some it could be considered dark. But it's like the angry side of me, the part that's hurt by religion, the part where I'm like, ooh, I hate religion. Ooh, it's hurt me so much and it's caused me so much suffering. When I first am faced with this idea that this person is being faced with the, 2 years of their life being taken away or their freedom being taken away, because of what they said religiously. At first I'm just like, yeah, like this is how this should be, right? This is the justification that we need. We need everybody who's saying anything crazy and religious to go away and be put away into prison. Yes, justification. But there's still the other Hyperion side of me, and that being a Hyperion, there's so many facets of myself. So there's this really dark part of me that's like, oh yeah, put them away. And then there's this other part that's like, that is a long time. Like, what is it that's actually going on, and is this because if we put them away for 2 years, if they deserve that, if that's a good justification, then we should definitely do that. We should definitely do that. Because there is so much of religious dialogue, of religious narrative that is violent, but it is so normalized in everyday society that it's just brushed over. I mean, people don't, the wrath of God, I mean, people just brush over that, like, oh yeah, that's just, it's a cup of tea, it's every day, it's here we go. That's very bizarre to me. It's really bizarre to me that we're here in 2022 and we're still having this religious narrative, this ancient, archaic religious narrative, still come forth and dictate how humanity should proceed with their everyday lives. Now, hopefully that's a good intro to what it is we're going to be discussing today. She did it. Well, that's a good point. So Cassie asks, did she put the quote on a personal account or a work/government related one? That's such a good thing to bring up. And here's my take on this. It doesn't matter if it's if it's technically a personal one or a work related one. When you're in that kind of position where you're literally a lawmaker, you're literally defining the guidelines of how humans should live and how they get access to certain things. When you're defining all of that, when you're in that position and you have these very, excuse me, sorry, I just burped, sorry. Sorry. Anyways, when you have these very strict set of guidelines of how humanity should live, and you're openly like displaying how it is you really like think deep down inside, your core values, and your core values are based on something that is rationally flawed. There's no objective morality. The Bible set of morals is out. There is no creator God. That is out. But if your values and your morals and everything and you're center, your moral center, where you, as a very professional person who is making laws and guidelines for humanity to grow and evolve and be safe. Do you see where I'm going here? When your values are like very limited and restricted and archaic and based on toxic religious ideas that ultimately hold people back, hold humanity back, and then you're making laws, like you're advertising how you really feel, what humanity should be doing, but then here we are as Hyperians being progressive, being on the side of evolution, being on the side of mental revolution, mental evolution, evolving beyond these archaic ideas. And we got a person in power with these archaic ideas. Yes, they should be persecuted upon that, regardless if those ideas are being shared personally or professionally. That's very much intertwined, I think. That is my take on that. That is very concerning, and that's kind of the hot take that I have. But there's still so much more. I mean, we barely even know um much about this person. So let's see, do we have any interesting? Yes, fire in churches, fire in churches. We don't mean to actually burn churches down physically. It's just we're against the ideas. So let's look at let's look at this sort of to get to know this Finnish lawmaker. And I keep saying Finnish lawmaker because I don't quite know how to pronounce her name, and I have actually listened to the pronunciation over and over and over and over, and my lips just can't form it. So I'm embarrassed to say I can't pronounce it. I'm trying. I'm so sorry. It's like Piavi, Piavi. I don't. I'm like so embarrassed about that. I don't know how to pronounce it. But anyways, let's start listening a little bit about her and her beliefs. Now, the thing I'm going to play right now, I'm going to make very clear it's very much in favor of her. So this is from the perspective of putting her on a pedestal and exalting her as something, to behold. There's just so much of the religious aspect of her where they think that she gives this extremely strong testimony of her faith and how things should be and how God intended. And it's too uh, I think it's over glorified. Really, it's over glorified. There's so much of the concept of testimony or having a testimony to God that is so over glorified. It's just faith with extra steps. I really kind of just like detest that on a personal level. So let's see. Let's lesson.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Päivi Räsänen. I'm living
I can't. Like, what is that? I can't. I'm even hearing her pronounce it herself, and I can't.
Could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Päivi Räsänen. I'm living in
Päivi.
Finland in a little
Päivi.
town of Riihimäki, quite near to our capital, Helsinki. And by my education,
Helsinki.
I'm a medical doctor. I worked as
She's
a
a medical
doctor for
doctor.
10 years before my political career. I'm married to a pastor. We have been married since 1985, and we have 5 grown-up children, and they have families, and I have also 7 lovely grandchildren.
This is just, it's like, I mean, she's like from Finland, but this is no different than looking at some super right-winged Karen here from America. Like, she's got a government position. She's involved in religion. Like, her husband's a pastor. She's got children, and they all have quintessential, like, normative, like, lives of being married, having other children. She's got a ton of grandchildren. Like, this is super traditional, like, right wing. Even the hair, like, this is kind of looking like, is this Nancy Reagan? Like, what's going on here? All right.
And in fact, we are expecting 3 more. So I'm very happy for
We
my
got so
family.
many grandchildren.
So
We got
Päivi, you
3
trained
more
as a
on the
doctor.
way.
What made you decide to then run as a member of parliament?
I loved to work as a doctor. I have to admit that sometimes I miss it. I loved to work with people and try to help them. But then I was also very interested in the ethical issues of medicine. Already when I studied medicine, I was involved in the ethical debate about pro-life issues. And when I studied medicine, I decided that I will not work with abortions because I...
Okay, red flag. I'm sorry. Whenever you mix religious ideals with medical education, it never works out. And okay, let me backtrack. Anybody who has any sort of hardcore set of religious ideals, who has like a major profession in like the medical field or like the science field or anything that kind of involves like a decent sense of rationality, it never works out. It never does. And this is kind of, I grew up in a house where like my father and my eldest brother were college educated in chemistry and biochemistry, and we're very religious, and there's this weird meeting where it's like the scientific and medical like knowledge and logic, and then like the religious bullcrap and the meeting in the center, and there's just there's no connection, and it gets way confusing, and that already raises so many major red flags about this lady. I mean, just like, oh, so educated, and okay, great, so are many people, but how is the religious aspect like persuading this factual medical knowledge that you have in this field?
Want to protect human life from the beginning to the end. And I think that life is always valuable. So I wrote books and I arranged panels, and I was also in public discussions, and that's why some parties asked me, would you like to candidate? But then in 19th we had an economical distress time in Finland when I worked as a doctor. And I saw a lot of diseases where the background was some social problems. There were a lot of unemployment, I saw divorces and mental disorders and even...
Oh no! Divorce is immediately jumping to mental disorders because clearly having a life anything other than just very super traditional cisgender, like marriage oriented, God created Adam and Eve and not Adam and Steve, like man, woman, married, like you have babies, your babies have grandchildren. Anything other than that is immediately connected to mental disorders. Look, right here, I saw divorces and mental disorders. The jump. Here's the thing about and I've even pointed this out actually in recent videos. There's something very strange about religion, thinking like, oh, there's this thing you're suffering. Well, it's okay, but it's, you know, it's just part of everything. But it's never associated or recognized as the cause. It's just like, oh, this is part of the symptoms. This is part of a bigger problem. But it's like, isn't this the problem? Anyways.
Attempts of suicides. And I thought that I would like to try to impact the roots of these problems, not just to give them some medicines. And
could you tell us a little bit about your parliamentary experience?
Yes, I have been a member of parliament over 26 years, since 1995. And I have also served government. I have been appointed as a Minister of Interior 2011, and I was 4 years as Minister of Interior. And I was also in charge of immigration issues of police and emergency issues, and then I was in charge of church affairs. I have been also chair of my party, Finnish Christian Democrats, for 11 years. I have been a member of almost all committees in parliament because my career has been so long.
How did this whole case start?
Yes, the whole process started in June 2019. I was shocked when I heard that my church decided to support the Helsinki Pride event.
Oh, I was so shocked. I was so shocked to learn that my church was being progressive. I got nuts and berries right here, by the way. My church was being progressive, and I was so shocked. What the hell? Oh, that's so shocking. Churches being progressive and keeping up with the times and the evolution of humanity. Oh, this is shocking. My goodness. However, oh, humanity.
And at that time, many of my friends wanted to resign church for that because they found that there was a strong contradiction between Bible and the church's decision. And
I love how these hardcore Bible thumpers, and it really doesn't matter what fucking country they're from, whether it's America or Finland, but it's like, it's the same white people bullshit. This Bible thumping bullshit of like, everything that's progressive is seen automatically as just like appalling because, oh, it doesn't stick to the Bible. Have you ever thought maybe the Bible doesn't work anymore? Have you ever thought that Bible is outdated? It's done, girl. It's over with. It's old news. Jesus Christ. I think I'm just like, this is nothing new. I've seen these kind of predicaments before. Oh, here's something new and progressive, but this isn't what the Bible said. Well, no shit, Sherlock. The Bible is archaic. This is getting old on so many meta levels as a Hyperion.
I was also thinking, what should I do now? Should I resign my church, or what should I do? And in fact, I was praying, and I became convinced that it is not my time to leave the church, but try to wake up those who are sleeping.
Oh no. She really just did not go into like a narrative or a metaphor of waking people that are sleeping. Because if anything, she is sleeping. She is sleeping. She is asleep comfortably with warm, comfy sheets made from the Bible. People aren't sleeping when they're moving forward and being progressive and acknowledging that there's something more beyond man and woman and this social construct of gender, of what females and males should be doing, and particularly how they should be behaving and how they should be identifying. That's not being asleep. That's being quite awake, quite progressive. That's a lot of movement. That's a lot of motion. That's a lot of stuff to unpack. That's a lot of stuff to process. That's a lot of motion. So to say that those are people who were asleep, that doesn't make any sense to me, because that's just a lot of movement to me. Absolute. Lots of movement. And then you're saying like, oh, those are people that are sleeping, so I need to stick with it and give them this Christian rhetoric. And she prefaced that with praying. Now, we've been saying a lot about prayer lately. And these nuts are salty. Jesus Lord, sorry. I'm so sorry. My mouth is... I'm snacking on these nuts. It's really dry. Woo. I got allergies going on. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves. Hold on. Do. Break. 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 Okay, we got ruby red grapefruit seltzer water. Ooh, saving the day. Hold on. Break. Car coming. Game on. Game on. Ooh. Okay.
Because I was worried that when there is such a contradiction between the Bible and what the church had decided, it will break down the people's trust upon the Bible. And it would be very dangerous if the Christians do not anymore trust on the Bible. I took a photo from the Bible and
Excuse me? Did she just say it would be dangerous? I have to hear that again. Hold on.
not my time to leave the church, but try to wake up those who are sleeping. Because I was worried that when there is such a contradiction between the Bible and what the church had decided, it will break down the people's trust. The Bible and what the church had decided, it will break down the people.
So when there's a contradiction between the Bible and what the church has decided, it will break down the people's trust. Here's the funny thing that I have to point out just for a minute. As somebody who grew up Mormon, and this is just really hilarious to me, and something that I can just sit in my tower as somebody who grew up Mormon. Mormons, in defense, like, because there's always this weirdness of Mormons versus Christians. Even Mormons would frown upon this, and this is where I feel like Christians hate Mormons, because Mormons are, in their eyes, very progressive, because Joseph Smith is their prophet, and Joseph Smith came way later. I mean, like, they're not even a blip on the fucking human history radar. Barely. Mormonism is. I mean, they're like maybe 200 years old. That's nothing. So it's so funny because in Mormonism, whatever current prophet we have, okay, when I say we, I'm like a pretend Mormon, because I grew up Mormon, but I'm not actually Mormon, but I'm a pretend Mormon here. But like, because I know what they think. But when we have a prophet, a new prophet, whatever is decided, whatever the church decides, is the new doctrine, is the new way, is the new gospel. I guess the old doesn't pertain anymore, but with Christians, Bible thumping Christians, it's always the fallback on the Bible. Like, the Old Testament, and even to the point where they're divided amongst themselves, where they're like against the New Testament. And even Mormons are like, well, we're the New Testament, so we have the newest say, and so on and so forth. But so from what it sounds like, is this lady is Päivi, I think it's Päivi. So Päivi, with her, she's very much Old Testament, old school Bible. So it's, even if the church and its leaders are progressive and change and evolve, then apparently it's wrong. But she's a lawmaker. She's making laws and guidelines on behalf of humanity in the future, and that's very concerning if we're on this very progressive path, where it's important that the LGBTQ community is recognized and able to thrive with, all of their medical needs met and all their social needs met and things like that everybody else has. But if we're ruled by people with religious ideals such as this is going to be a problem. You see how bad this is, my friends? You see how bad this is?
people's trust upon the Bible. And it would be very dangerous if the Christians do not anymore trust on the Bible. I took a photo from the Bible and posted it in a Twitter and asked the leadership of my church that how is it possible that what Bible calls sin and shame you are now supporting as a pride. And after that, some citizen made a complaint to police, and police started to investigate that. And then after that, there were many other criminal complaints that some citizens made about a book.
I love how she's smiling about this thing that is apparently serious and like affecting her life very deeply, but she's just smiling. It's no big deal. It was just this awful kind of reference I made. There's a lot to unpack and a lot behind this, but on the surface, it was just small. I just made this little thing. There were some complaints. This lady is no good. That's a very poor attitude, I feel. Even as somebody like who is like you're facing like maybe 2 years in prison, and you have that attitude even on behalf of somebody with like religious, like here's the Bible. It's really important. It's really important that we live this way and we live this way and no other way. And she's all smiling and shrugging like, and I just pointed this out to the church who's being progressive, and they wouldn't listen. I don't understand why this progressive church won't be archaic and biblical about keeping people oppressed and invisible. I don't know. That bothers me.
Booklet that was written much earlier, 2004, and some radio and TV programs where I was talking about these issues.
You've been to the police many times in the past few years. Can you tell us about your experience with the police?
Yes, I was interrogated by police many times, and those hearings, they lasted altogether about 13 hours. In fact, the situation was very absurd because I sat there with the police. I had the Bible on the table, and then the police asked me questions about my beliefs.
I sat there and I put my big book of beliefs on the table, and then surprisingly they started asking me about my beliefs. Like, what the hell?
What do you think about what Apostle Paul is here teaching? What you think about this verse, these verses where he speaks about homosexual acts? In fact, I thought that it was quite a privilege to have this kind of discussion with the police, because I had many times during these hours the possibility to tell to the police the message of gospel, what the Bible teaches about the value of human being, that all people are.
What? Yeah. Oh. This is annoyance. Oh. Monads, I am triggered. Oh, Momos, I am triggered. She actually recognizes that. Oh, I am privileged because here I am sitting up in my religious cloud with my book of beliefs sitting upon my table, and they're questioning about my beliefs, and here I am very privileged to inform them about my beliefs, because my beliefs rule how I make laws that actually govern and allow people to have certain accesses to certain things in my country that I don't believe should have certain accesses. Oh. Okay, so I'm trying to get better at reeling this in.
Created as the image of God, and that's why they all are valuable. So it was funny that many people described these interrogations, that Päivi goes now again to the police station to give Bible studies to the police. I could never have imagined, for example, when I worked as a Minister of Interior, who was in charge of police, that I would be interrogated and asked that kind of questions in police station. I have heard about this kind of interrogations and hearings from Soviet times. I'm so old that I remember the Soviet times. And I could never have imagined that that happens in Finland. The police asked also in every interrogation, are you ready to renounce your writings and take them away from your social media accounts or your home pages? But I answered that I will stand on what I believe, and I will speak about these things and write about these things also in the future. Because they are a matter of conviction, not only an opinion.
What
Do I just not understand the difference between conviction and opinion? Can I just look that up for a minute? Can I just, because I'm a high school dropout. Let's see. A, a conviction. A firmly held belief or opinion. But what does she just say? Not only an opinion, a conviction. So an extra opinion? Am I getting that right? There's it's just an opinion with oomph. Because frankly, which is sad, because when I very first heard the title of the situation, where it was like, this person is going to face a potential jail time, like up to 2 years for what they said, I was like, good lord, that sounds awful. Like, even as a Hyperian, I'm like, that sounds extreme. Like, why would we do that? Because frankly, if this was just some, like, everyday average, like, lady going to the grocery store, just, like, retired, like, living their life, walking their dog, like, watering their plants, like, saying this shit, like, I wouldn't like it, but it would be like, whatever. But the fact that this is somebody in a position where it actually affects other people's lives, to the point where, like, the police have to get involved, this is no good. And this is where I have to, like, sit on the other side and be like, gee, maybe this person should be given some attention. But still, I must profess, even on that side, I'm like, is prison, like, is that necessary? Or is this... There's going to be a part about the Hyperion future here that we bring in, where we are going to have to accept the fact that there's going to be some people we're going to have to put the time into rehabilitating. We're going to have to consider, like, who is eligible for rehabilitation. In the sense, like, perhaps there's going to be people in their older age that are just... We're going to have to deal with the fact that they're saying this, that, or the other, or saying their opinions or their convictions or whatever. But it's like, whatever. when they're in positions that actually matter, this is extremely concerning. Do they deserve jail time? I still am not sure, but I'm not liking what this lady is saying at all. I don't like it at all. This is an absolute head shaking no. Like, she is not in reality here. When your priority is your personal beliefs and not your duty to the progression and the movement and the direction that humanity is going, it's time to hang the hat. It's time to hang up your hat. It's time to take your hair out. It's time to go to bed.
What was your intention in engaging with these topics from the beginning? You said it's a matter of conviction. You will write, but could you explain a little more?
Yes, I have been always very open about my faith. And when I was discussing and writing about these things, I never intended to insult or defame anyone. I think all people are equal. All people are precious.
There's salt in my eyeball. Just, there's peanut salt in my eyeball. Talk amongst yourselves. It's very distressing. Just be glad it's not happening to you, okay? I was eating peanuts and now there's peanut salt in my eyes. So, she doesn't want to offend anybody, but yet she thinks people are equal. One of these things are not like the other. One of these things just doesn't belong. You can't have one be the same as the other. This is known as an oxymoron. You can't do this. I'm sorry. Religion gets away with this all the time, and it infuriates me. We have very specific specifications for people to live and end up in eternal being eternally saved, but you can go ahead and do whatever you want. We still love you and you're still equal, but unless you do these very specific things, you're just not gonna get the best of the best. You're gonna get maybe something good, I don't know. You're great, but not that great. It's just, I don't know. If I had to guess, I mean, like, from the Mormon perspective, it's like this whole game of, like, the ultimate exaltation, the ultimate level of faith, the ultimate afterlife. It's always the afterlife game. What's going on in the afterlife? Never what's going on in the here and the now.
Just wanted to share what I believe and what I think that it is best for all human beings. And I think that these writings and this conviction.
For all human beings and this conviction. And I like how she keeps using the word conviction instead of opinion, because it's not doing much for me. I just looked it up. Conviction. What? It's extra opinion. It's over glorified opinion.
It arouses from love and not from hate. The prosecutor general has been in public many times about this case, and 1 year ago in an interview in Helsingin Sanomat, she stated that if Päivi Räsänen is convicted, it is not necessary to take the Bibles away from the libraries, and it is still okay to cite them. But what is not okay is to agree with the Bible. And at the same time, she also compared the Bible to Mein Kampf. And I think what's
I did not expect that in the least bit. Hold on. I'm just old man wheezing right here. Hold on. My eyes are watering. This is the Bible to Mein Kampf. I'm sorry, I did not expect that. I'm crying, it's so funny. I am so... I did not expect that. I didn't expect... All right, and see, I'm sorry. I just didn't really expect that. I've never heard. Oh, she is the Finnish Ronald Reagan. She is self-report like every sentence. It's so... I can't. Okay, continuing.
she said is very dangerous because she defined thought crime, and it would be also dangerous not only to me and to Christians, but to everyone.
Oh, I have to... That's a very interesting phrase to me. The phrase and the terminology of thought crime. Thought crime. And I'm imagining a Hyperion future. The Hyperion New World. In which religion isn't like the overseeing guideline for how like we dictate like what's best for humanity. It's interesting to think about the idea of thought crime. I've never even thought of that, like those two words together, thought crime. So like in the Hyperion future, like what would be a thought crime? Like if somebody's thinking too religiously, like so let's throw them in jail. That's not realistic to me. I think there's gonna be very religious people for a long time, even like in a well-established Hyperion future. But a well-established Hyperion future to me is one in which like all leadership positions are governed and filled with people who rule and decide things based in reason, not their religious convictions. Because I'm sorry, you can't just say convictions instead of opinion and beliefs and make it anointed, you know, as something more like established than not. Like, lady, you're just peddling your own personal beliefs. The end. This whole convictions and testimony thing is just it's not working on me personally, and I'm not buying it.
Who have convictions and speak about them.
What has been the reaction to your case here in Finland?
I think that many people, thousands of people, have been also shocked for this. I have got a lot of support. I know that thousands of people are praying for me. Every day I get messages from people. But also there are different kinds of opinions. So this has raised a lot of discussion in the Finnish society, also in parliament and inside the church.
And could you explain to us a little bit what has been the reaction in Finnish media?
The Finnish media has been interested in this case, but I would say that the opinions in media, they are also divided. Many Christians and also many other people who are not Christians, other people with different kinds of faiths, have been worried about the freedom of speech and freedom of religion. And I think that the main topic in these discussions has been the question of freedom of speech. Because in this case, we can see that the high authorities, they have different views. For example, the police, when police investigated my pamphlet and the radio program, police thought that no crime has happened. But then prosecutor general had a different opinion about this. So for ordinary citizens, it is difficult to know where is the border. For example,
no, I'm sorry. She's trying to equate herself to normal everyday citizens. She's not on the same level of everyday citizens. She's part of the parliament. She's got a big medical degree. She's very involved in a church. She's got like all this stuff going on. And she wants to sit there and equate herself to the everyday Christian citizen, regardless whether it's in her country or our country or any country. Like, no, I'm sorry. Every day, Jezebel ain't gonna be put on trial and put to prison for having religious beliefs in the Hyperian New World. Absolutely not. We're not gonna do that. We're not gonna waste our time. This lady is well established, has all this stuff, has all this credentials, is this involved, and is turning around and being like, oh, this is an example of what's going to happen to the everyday citizen. No, it's not. This is an example of what happens to you. Somebody who is a lawmaker, somebody who is part of parliament, somebody who has a degree, somebody who is seen as a voice, who is going to set the fucking level for every other person ahead of the time now.
Some pastors have sent to me their sermons or their writings and asked, could I be accused of crime if I give this kind of sermon to my church? And also many young Christians have sent me many messages where they tell that they are afraid to confess to be Christians because they are afraid of consequences.
So as a long-serving member of parliament, have you ever personally been offended or felt insulted? And if yes, what is your response?
Yes, there are many times when in public discussions and debates and in many writings I have felt insulted or defamed, or also of course I have had sometimes bad feelings about what have been written about me or my family or even my children. But I think that it is good that there are opinions different than my opinions, and I have never thought that I would make a criminal complaint for some opinions or some even insults that have done against me.
So how are you feeling ahead of the trial?
I have to say that I have a very calm mind. Of course, I'm a little bit nervous because I have not been in that kind of situation before. And I pray that I would have wisdom to answer the questions. And I'm also very grateful for all support and prayers. But I trust that we are still living in democracy. We have our constitution that guarantees the freedom of speech and freedom of religion, and also the international agreements.
So I just said something fantastic, and then I realized that the microphone is on pause, and I need to stop doing that so that everyone can hear what I have to say. But what's interesting about me, to me, what's interesting about me? No, that's not what I meant to say. What's interesting to me about this idea of democracy that she's bringing up, that I've seen other like mainstream religious people bring up, it's like, oh, this is a democracy. Can't we just say whatever we want to, we got to bring our ideas to the table. But like, does democracy really mean like constantly like backpedaling and bringing up like your old washed up ideologies and ideas? Like to me, like a true democracy would be something like making decisions like moving forward rather than constantly sticking to something just for the sheer conviction of it. I mean, am I just talking my out of my ass of that one? Not a fan of democracy if that's the case.
So I have calm mind, and I trust also in God who is guiding.
And so this trial is not just about you, and you're a member of parliament, but you're also a wife and a mother and a grandmother. So how is your family feeling about this trial that is coming up?
I'm very thankful that I have a family who supports me. My husband has been supporting all the time, very eagerly me, and also my grown-up children. Of course, my grandchildren, they are so little that they do not understand what is happening. But my children, they have encouraged me that, Mother, you have to stand firm and do not give up. So I'm happy for the support of my family.
There is so much of Christianity throughout the whole history of it where they specifically overglorify the notion of just digging into your testament and sticking to your convictions, even in face of certain death and destruction and disparity, and most of all, torture and pain. What's funny is even over time you see other Christians coming out and saying, and there's a lot of amendments to the Bible and changes to the Bible where they're coming out and they're like, even very old, I don't know if they were monks or not necessarily prophets or just like whatever, just religious workers. They had to edit the Bible and to really kind of hone in and in attempt to help explain to Christians and hopefully help them understand like precisely what the hell they're dying for. Because it's so easy to just dig your heels and be like, here's this idea, I'm gonna die for it, I'm gonna dig in my heels, I'm not gonna change my mind. You can do that with anything. You can assign those emotions to any ideal and an idea. Even to the flying spaghetti monster. I'm burping, sorry. It's interesting to listen to her talk about, oh, they're considering these ideas I have dangerous. Well, yeah, kinda. Anyways.
Are you concerned about people looking at the trial and self-censoring out of fear?
Yes, I'm afraid that people who are following my case are afraid to use their freedom of speech, and they are self-censoring. But I want to encourage them that now it is time to speak. Now it is time for Christians to tell about the truths of the Bible, because the more we are silent, the narrower goes the space for freedom of speech and freedom of.
But the Christians have already been doing this so much that they've sacrificed so much of themselves for these convictions. They just essentially lay down and die, and for what? They don't really take the time to sit and understand. That's what's very disturbing and dangerous to me about. Through all of Christianity, you have this historical cases of Christians valiantly laying down their lives for their convictions. Call it what you want. These are thoughts. These are ideas. This is the war. This is mind. This is the war of the mind. This is in Hyperianism in the future. Here, we say we are in the war of the mind. This is some of those ideas that we're talking about. The war of the mind, the war of ideas. These are some of those ideas. So she's like, oh, it's dangerous that the church strays away from the Bible. Well, it's dangerous if they don't. It's dangerous if we don't grow and evolve and learn and all this shit. The hell was that? Okay.
Religion.
What would be the consequences of the court deciding in your favor or against you?
If I win the case, I think that it is a very important step for the freedom of speech and religion. And I think that it is not important only in Finland, but also in Europe and other countries, because so many countries and so many people abroad are following this case. If I'm convicted, I think that the worst consequence is not a fine to me or even the prison that could be possible. It would be the censorship and the ban to writings, the ban to my booklet, but not only my booklet. There are thousands of similar writings and speeches and programs and sermons that could be banned after that.
Yeah, but programs and sermons about what? Denouncing the existence of minorities? Denouncing homosexuals? Denouncing trans people? Denouncing other genders besides man and woman? Really? Because in a Hyperion New World, you can go ahead and say all this shit that you want. It's just you're not going to be able to be in a position that determines how people actually live their lives. You can, in a Hyperion New World, you can go ahead and just not be homosexual, live a very traditional life, and think that nobody should be doing this shit. And be just fine, but leave other people alone. But she's in a position of power. She's in a lawmaking position. That's very concerning. That should be scrutinized.
I think that the consequences would be to all the Finnish society, not only to me, not only to Christians, also to other people, because then the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, it is narrowed.
Are you aware of all the prayers and support you have received from all around the world, and what has it meant to you?
I'm very happy and I'm very thankful for all the prayers from Finland and from other countries. In some days I have got hundreds of messages of praying people. And I believe that when God raises people to pray, He's going to do something good.
Oh,
So I trust that there
Nobody.
is something good in the future.
Do you think people need to agree with you in order to support your case?
Oh, people really do not have to agree with me when they support me. And I have many supporters in public and also in messages who tell that they are not Christians. They do not agree what I have said, but they defend my right to say what I believe and what I think. And I think that I want to do the same. I want also to defend those people with whom I disagree. I would say that, for example, in Finland, in our parliament, there is a politician who is himself homosexual, and he is very strongly supporting me and supporting that Päivi has to
sit on
have
your
the right to say
soapbox.
what she believes.
What is your prayer and your hope for the people of Finland?
That is a total soapbox.
I pray for Finland that we would have in the future a good democracy and freedom of speech, freedom of religion. And I pray that my case and all the publicity around the case would lift up Christians to be open and to be encouraged to speak about their faith. And I'm happy that through this case it is also possible to lift up important issues and the messages, core messages of our faith.
Okay. So on that note, women only. What is that? What is that ad? What is going on? Ultimately, as a Hyperian, I would not want to sentence her to jail, but like, what did she say? What did she say? What did she tweet? So this is all based on her response to her church's support of the local gay LGBTQ whatever pride event that was going on. So in response to that, she decided to post this Bible quote on her Instagram. And what was it? Romans 1:24 through 27. So I looked it up, and we're going to look it up. 120, what is it? 124 through 127. 124. Romans 1:24. Therefore God gave them over in the sinful desires of their hearts to sexual impurity for the degrading of their bodies with one another. Because of this, God gave them over to shameful lust. Why would God do that if He hates it? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Even their women. Even the women exchanged natural sex relations for unnatural ones. Ah, that sounds awesome, honestly. How do I get involved? They exchanged the truth about God for a lie, and worshipped and served the wait, let me back up, sorry. That was a cool line. Lie. And worshipped and served created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Amen. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Ooh. Men committed shameful acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their error. I don't care what the hell this means. This is some book written by somebody that has nothing to do with me. Or humanity. I mean, it does. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, if we're just gonna pull the little needle off the record and be like, all right, stop the music. Who is this for? Nobody. It's 2022. This is archaic. We don't care what this is. But there are some people on this planet that are so dedicated to this that this is the way. This is the way. This is the way. This is the way. And it's not good because we are on this path of progression and evolution. We are on a mental evolution. Mental Hyperianism is part of the mental revolution. Mental revolution. We're not talking about a revolution with pitchforks that we go storm the Capitol with, because we see how that ended up with on the 6th, alright? We don't do that. We're not pitchfork people. We're mental, idealistic people, rational people. This is a war of the ideas. Okay? These ideas are not good. These are outdated. We got this lady making laws, making guidelines, making rules, making the way, paving the way for humanity to proceed based on this archaic stuff. I don't think as a Hyperion that she should be put to prison for this. This is definitely toxic, negative religious thinking. No, not all of humanity is going to be based on this. This is not the truth of humanity. These are not great convictions. This is just sheer baloney. I don't think she should go to prison over this. Frankly, I think that would be really sad. I think there's room for rehabilitation, maybe. But she should definitely lose her job. 100%. You're either dedicated to the progressiveness of humanity as a leader, or you're dedicated to your old archaic beliefs. And in the Hyperion future, like, if you want to be dedicated to your old archaic beliefs, like, go over in your corner, go over in your neck of the woods and be that way. That's fine. You won't be bothered. You've got freedom of speech. You can say whatever you want. But if you're a professional person, if you're got a medical degree, if you got all this, that, if you're part of the parliament, all this experience and education and all that, and you're still basing your decisions on some archaic stuff, then there's some screws loose. I'm sorry. There's something missing here, and you should not be in the position of making establishments for people in the future for their health and their well-being. You choose one or the other. You choose old religious, old world ways or progressive future, new Hyperion world. You can't do both. You can live in the Hyperion new world and be somebody who believes in old religious ways, but you can't be making decisions on behalf of everybody. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So, and this person, mind you, has made some very just kind of like bad calls when it comes to homosexuals. And things like that. So, here's a quote by her that I like copied and pasted from one of these articles. And she says, "I hope it will be clear today that I do not wish to offend any group of people, but that it is about saving people for eternal life." And this is where I'm like, aha! Because religious people are always obsessed with the eternal life bit. And Hyperians, I love Hyperianism because we come in and we say, no, shush, shush, shush. There is this no ultimate eternal life that we live in and go in for all eternity. There's no eternal afterlife. But with the eternal life, yes, we are all eternal, but it is not based on this archaic ideas. We are eternal in a very mathematical, rational way. We are not eternal. We are not beings that were just created and then suddenly we're eternal. You can't create something that lives on forever. Something that is eternal and infinite cannot start. If it doesn't end, it can't start either. There's no creator God. You cannot create something like that. Okay? We're rational, mathematical beings. And after we leave this body, when this body dies, when we expire, we will connect to a new one, so on and so forth. And depending on who you are, as a monad, you may progress faster than others and in certain ways that are different than others. But it's weird that she's so obsessed with it. Oh, what's gonna happen after the, I'm concerned for everybody's eternal life. So here's this weird archaic book of ideas and beliefs that I have that I'm going to call convictions, not beliefs. These are convictions, not my opinions. They're just extra opinions about how people should be living, and it's for their eternal life. It doesn't add up. The International Lutheran Council described the decision to persecute Räsänen and Pojala, I don't know how to pronounce that, as egregious. Is it though? So she's in support of a pamphlet which describes homosexuality as a disorder of psychosexual development. She told the court that she was asked to write a text outlining Lutheran teaching. Oh, Lutherans, oh my goodness. Outlining Lutheran teaching on sexuality for members of her church from her viewpoint as a politician, and a doctor. And then they say, and Christian. The Christianism is irrelevant. The ism of Krish is irrelevant. We do not give a shit about the ism of Krish. All we care about is the fact that she's a politician and a doctor with these archaic, witchy views of this external creator God that is just in support and creating these pamphlets that describes homosexuality as a disorder of psychosexual development. I'm sorry, what? her degree as a doctor means nothing. Like that, there's so many studies that prove otherwise. That is so damaging. And when you take that with somebody who's claiming to be a doctor, and they take some like medical pseudo bullcrap and pair it up with some Christian bullcrap and narrative, this medical narrative mixed with this Christian narrative, and then suddenly people look up to this person to see, like, oh yeah, homosexuality is bad, look, they said it's a psychosexual development. That's sad and sneaky, and yeah, she should be kind of put to test on that. That's very bad to say. Jewel Marsh, how you doing? That's what I'm not trying to like introduce this lady, this lawmaker, as somebody who's like just kind of misdirected a little bit. She really has, she's a politician. She's got a medical degree. She's a politician, she's a doctor, she's got high end status, and she's convincing people that homosexuality is a disorder of psychosexual development. That doesn't make any sense. And she's facing 2 years in prison. I don't want her to go to prison. I want her to lose her job as a politician and as a doctor. If she's so if she is going to stand by her convictions as a Christian, and if that's what is at the top of her priority list, then she should be taken away from her job as a politician. She should be taken away from her job as a doctor, and she should focus solely on her Christian duties. The end. As a Christian, as a church leader. I don't want her to go to jail. I don't want her to go to prison. That doesn't matter. Fine. I don't want her to suffer that. That's not going to change any. That's just going to fuel the fire for Christians to be like, oh look, here we go. We're being silenced. Giddy up. Let's get ready to be fucking seared into the steel bowl, into the iron bowl. Like, no, we're not doing that in the Hyperion New World. We're not going to do that. We're not going to burn the Christians in the chair. We're not going to seal them up in the bowl. We're not going to do anything like that. We're not going to do anything damaging to that. She needs to be taken away from her job. The end. You don't want to be a politician. You don't want to think about humanity as a whole. You don't want to think Abraxianly. You don't want to think in absolute terms. That's fine. Don't be a politician then. Don't be a doctor then. And so it's just really, so at first I'm like, why are we being this extreme? And then it's like, yes, this is kind of extreme. This is somebody with a very high position of power. Labeling homosexuals as dysfunctional, and then speaking out when the church is associating itself and supporting a gay pride event, and she has to speak out and be like, no, this is bad, look at the Bible, see, this is bad. And as a doctor, this is a disorder, it's a dysfunctional disorder. Like, that's damaging. Yes, absolutely. That is a soup with ingredients that definitely has the potential to produce the it's like inciting hate towards a minority group. Absolutely, 100%. This is toxic religion. Toxic religion 100% is religion that is directly affecting humanity as a whole, and just any individual's health. That is toxic religion. Religion can exist within a Hyperion New World. It just won't have any place within the medical field or any political field whatsoever, or having any jurisdiction over somebody's lives. This is not a case of freedom of speech. Christians have been going on for eons about freedom of speech. Right now, this is just irritating, honestly. Like, I'm like, is this the Twilight Zone? Am I on Fantasy Island? Because in my perspective, and here's where it genuinely is my reality tunnel of life, where life is ruled by mainstream Christianity and mainstream religion, not just Christianity, just mainstream Abrahamism. And here I'm seeing this case where it's like, no, the Christians, they don't really have a voice. Like, really? Because, like, we're there. I thought we're there. I thought they had the voice. They said the things. They went through the persecution. They sat in the burning bowl, and now, like, here we are. They're still acting like they're being persecuted and tortured. I don't think so. So, simply quoting Bible passages would not be a crime. I have to agree with that. If someone interprets the Bible in a certain way and publishes it in their own opinions with reference to them, it could be a crime if they offend an individual or a group of people. I disagree with that. This is like a weird defense. It's not about the religion. I think this should be about the fact that this person is in a position of power. Biblical teachings are timeless. Oh, honey, they're about to go out. So, yeah, anyways, the overall thing here is to realize that, and I've said it before now, in the Hyperion New World Order, it's not like it's gonna be this crazy setup where, like, your grandmother can't pray. Like, if it was like, from here forth, this is now the Hyperion New World. A mainstream religion is no longer ruling the world. It's done, it's over with. That doesn't mean your grandma can't say a prayer and stuff like that, and say they hate homosexuals, things like that. It just means that people who are part of parliament, who are a politician, who are have a medical degree, won't be able to come forth and make these radical declarations of homosexuals having, problems, and then vehemently speaking out against them, quoting your Bible and your archaic, like, book things, and then just, like, smiling and just shrugging off, like, I don't know what happened. I just, I said this thing that was very much against this group of people, and then the police came, and I just set my book of beliefs on the table, and they were just astonished, and I was just astonished that I had to inform this group of police about my beliefs, and it's just, she's a politician, she's a doctor. What is she doing? If she's this dedicated to Christianity, she needs to give up her jobs. The end. I don't want her to go to prison. I want her to lose her jobs. The end. The end. That's not taking away her freedom of speech, her religious speech. She can go ahead and speak about that all she wants. She can hate on the homosexuals. She can quote the Bible, do all that. Lord Jesus, all that in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All that shit. She doesn't get to be a politician or a doctor. Sorry. Sorry. Just saying. Just saying. Anyways, shall we start some music? Thank you so much, everybody, for joining me tonight. I hope that kind of unpacks things for you. Do you have any questions? Please, if you have any questions, please ask. No. Thank you all for joining me tonight. Thank you all for listening to me tonight. I hope you have a wonderful Friday night. And I hope you have a relaxing time. Oh yeah. Don't you worry. You don't have to go in a hurry. There's a lady who wants to make laws on this archaic book, and we don't want that at all. No, we don't want that at all. She's a nice lady, but maybe she should keep her ideas in her purse. I don't know. Good night, Melinda Mayhem. Good night, Ben. Good night, Starry Nebula. Good night, Tina Timson. All right. Good night, Suzette Alberti. Good night, Roberta. Boo boo. Don't you worry, little booze. We won't send that lady to jail. She'll just live in her own special hell. She can be Christian all she wants, but she won't get to make any laws. 'Cause we don't put up with that kind of shit. 'Cause we are with Hyperianism. Time for chamomile tea. Oh yeah. Don't you worry about that lady. She won't make any lies over here, 'cause she's Finnish. She don't live over here, and we don't have to listen to that. Subscribe to Monday Monad. Don't forget to like that Monday Monad. Don't forget to like the live stream. And don't forget to squeeze. Okay, no. Take my time. I have like so many things stuck in my head. Good night. Good night, Antichrisis. And good night, Noria. Good night, Epsilon Blue Monad. And good night, Aaron. Good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. I love you. Please have a good weekend. And Monad, I'm going to be brave and talk about sex. Oh, good night. Good night, Cassie. Good night, Roberta. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. Have a good weekend. I love you all. Stay awake out there, dreamers. Take care.